Hey guys! Today we're diving into another truly horrifying case. If you want to support my channel, make sure to subscribe and stay active. It really helps me out. I'd be super grateful for that. Let's get started. 27th of April, 2024, a 55-year-old man living near Myrtle Beach decided to spend his day fishing along the Lambert River within the state park of the same name. This location was a favorite of his, appreciated for its secluded and tranquil atmosphere. Unlike more frequented recreational areas, Lambert Park provided a quiet retreat to reconnect with nature and escape the hustle of urban life. On that day, the man set himself up along a densely vegetated stretch of the riverbank. He prepared his fishing gear and began to enjoy the solitude. However, his peaceful outing was soon interrupted by a sound that seemed out of place. It was the muffled crying of a woman. The sound was subdued, neither loud nor panicked, but rather restrained and intermittent. It came from across the river, but the thick vegetation made it impossible to identify the source. Though concerned, the man chose not to intervene immediately, assuming someone might simply be dealing with a private moment of grief. He respected their space and decided to continue with his fishing. A few minutes passed, and the crying ceased. The man relaxed, dismissing it as a fleeting event. But his calm was short-lived when he heard a sharp and unmistakable sound, a gunshot. This sound jolted him into action, making it clear that something serious might have happened. Feeling compelled to investigate, he decided to move toward the area where the sounds had originated. He navigated approximately 200 yards through dense vegetation before arriving at a small, cleared section of the riverbank. There, he encountered an unusual sight, a backpack lying on the ground, accompanied by a pair of sunglasses and a cell phone. The immediate area appeared deserted, with no signs of anyone nearby. The man inspected the belongings but found no evidence of a struggle or anything else alarming, such as blood. This only heightened his sense of unease. Curiosity and concern drove him to open the backpack, hoping to find clues about its owner. Inside, he discovered a wallet containing identification, cash, credit cards, some personal items, and a small Bible. Despite the contents, there was nothing that explained the strange sequence of events. Realizing the situation could be far more serious than he initially thought, the man promptly contacted emergency services. Law enforcement officers arrived approximately an hour later. After conducting a preliminary survey of the scene, they began a broader search of the surrounding area. Later that same day, a second report came in from another park visitor who stumbled upon something even more unsettling. Myrtle Beach, located along the Atlantic coast in South Carolina, is renowned as a popular tourist destination. While the city's population sits at approximately 35,000, it swells significantly during the summer months with the influx of visitors. Myrtle Beach is famous for its expansive sandy beaches, upscale resorts, and a variety of entertainment options, including fine dining, golf courses, and attractions such as one of the largest aquariums in the region and a towering Ferris wheel. The area draws both affluent travelers and families seeking affordable vacations. Beyond its appeal to tourists, Myrtle Beach is home to numerous churches that play a central role in the local community. One of the most notable is Solid Rock Church, located in the heart of the city. Established as a spiritual hub for those seeking guidance and support during challenging times, Solid Rock quickly gained popularity. The church offers not only traditional services, but also educational and recreational programs tailored to the community, including youth activities. At the core of Solid Rock's mission is Pastor John Paul Miller. Appointed in 2009 at the age of 35, he brought with him a wealth of experience in spiritual leadership. Known for his charismatic approach and deep involvement with his congregation, John Paul quickly became a beloved figure. He was married to Allison, and together they raised 3 children, along with 1 child from a previous marriage. The Miller family lived in a house near the church, allowing them to maintain close ties with the community. That same year, the Francis family joined Solid Rock Church. Angelita and Michael Francis, along with their daughters, Mika and Sierra, had recently relocated to Myrtle Beach and chose the church as their spiritual home. For 14-year-old Mika, the church became a significant part of her life. She quickly formed friendships and immersed herself in the youth programs, many of which were personally led by Pastor John Paul. This involvement helped Mika integrate into the local community. Mika's older sister, Sierra, also participated in church activities, though her role was less prominent. Mika, on the other hand, stood out for her enthusiasm and faith, which did not go unnoticed. Her active engagement in church life provided opportunities to connect with other young members of the congregation. One such individual was Jeremy, a participant in the same youth programs as Mika. Over time, their relationship grew closer, and after several years, the young couple decided to marry. Their union appeared to be a perfect match. Their shared dedication to church activities and the strong support of their families seemed to lay a solid foundation for a happy life together. The wedding was held at Solid Rock Church, officiated by Pastor John Paul himself, underscoring its importance to the community. The ceremony was a joyful event, drawing a large number of congregants. Both families expressed their pride in the couple, viewing their marriage as a reflection of family values and spiritual unity. At that time, Mika and Jeremy were filled with optimism about their future, one they envisioned as centered around shared faith and mutual goals. After their wedding, Mika and Jeremy became even more deeply involved with the operations of Solid Rock Church. Mika took on administrative responsibilities, handling paperwork and coordinating events, while Jeremy focused on youth sports programs. He managed the church's flag football team and contributed to the development of other activities for teenagers. These roles allowed them to spend significant time together, which seemed like a seamless extension of their marriage. However, a few months after the wedding, the first signs of strain began to emerge in their relationship. The demands of their shared responsibilities at the church started to take a toll on Mika. Unlike the period before their marriage, when they had more time to focus on each other, their lives had become centered around work. Jeremy, deeply committed to his role, began to dedicate less time to providing emotional support for Mika, leaving her feeling increasingly isolated. Adding to the tension was Mika's growing involvement with other members of the church community, including the pastor's wife, Allison. As Mika took on more responsibilities in the administrative office, she became an indispensable part of the team. This blending of her professional and personal life created additional stress in her marriage. While their relationship appeared outwardly harmonious, the underlying issues continued to build. The couple chose not to share their struggles with others, maintaining an image of a happy union. Yet, those close to them began to notice subtle cracks in their relationship. These early signs of discord would later lay the groundwork for more significant challenges that would alter the course of their lives. After several months of working in the administrative office, Mika was promoted to a new role as the personal secretary to Pastor John Paul Miller. This decision was attributed to her organizational skills and her eagerness to take on more responsibilities within the church. The position required her to work closely with John Paul, including frequent one-on-one meetings and consistent communication to fulfill her duties. As Mika transitioned into this role, she began spending a significant amount of time with the pastor. John Paul valued her dedication and enthusiasm for church activities. Over time, their professional relationship evolved into more personal interactions. What started as discussions about faith and life eventually turned into more intimate conversations, forming a close emotional connection between them. This shift began to create tension in Mika's marriage. In 2016, everything changed abruptly. John Paul's wife, Allison, unexpectedly returned home early one day and discovered him in a compromising situation with Mika. This incident sparked a major conflict within the Miller household. Allison demanded an explanation, leading to a heated argument between the couple. Upon learning what had happened, Allison also chose to inform Mika's husband, Jeremy. The fallout from this event had repercussions that extended beyond the two families, impacting the church community as well. While those involved agreed to keep the details private, rumors of the affair began circulating among the congregation. Church staff and others close to the families noticed changes in the behavior of both John Paul and Mika, as well as the increasing strain between them and their spouses. Despite attempts to maintain a facade of normalcy, the conflict became impossible to hide. Both Allison and Jeremy filed for divorce around the same time. The process was deeply challenging and emotional for everyone involved. Allison left the church and relocated from Myrtle Beach with her children, seeking to rebuild her life away from the events that had shattered her marriage. Jeremy, for his part, ceased his involvement with Solid Rock entirely, choosing to distance himself from the church. A few months after the divorces were finalized, John Paul and Mika publicly announced their relationship. They openly declared themselves a couple, igniting another wave of discussion within the congregation. For many church members, this was a devastating revelation. The pastor, who had previously preached about the importance of family loyalty, was now at the center of a scandal that undermined his reputation and eroded the trust of some parishioners. In 2017, a year after beginning their relationship, John Paul Miller and Mika officially became husband and wife. Their wedding took place at Solid Rock Church, where John Paul continued to serve as pastor despite the lingering controversies surrounding his prior actions. The ceremony was attended by close friends, family, and members of the congregation. For many, it was seen as an attempt to restore trust in the pastor and mend the community's fractured perception of him following the revelation of his affair with Mika. For Mika, who was 23 years old at the time, the marriage marked a new chapter in her life, along with increased responsibilities within the church. Becoming the pastor's wife placed her in a leadership role, where she was expected to mentor and organize within the congregation. Many church members viewed this union as an opportunity for both the church and its pastor to move forward, leaving the mistakes of the past behind. Immediately after the wedding, Mika embraced her new duties at Solid Rock. Beyond her administrative work, she became an active participant in church programs, focusing on organizing missionary trips and charitable events. One of her key projects involved missions to Kenya. Using funds raised through donations, Mika oversaw the construction of schools, providing essential educational opportunities such as English and math instruction. These trips to Africa became a significant part of her new life. Mika personally managed local educational programs and coordinated the delivery of humanitarian aid. Her initiatives garnered strong support from the congregation, many of whom enthusiastically participated in these efforts. Mika's dedication and energy made her a symbol of activism within the community, inspiring others to engage in charitable work. In addition to her mission work, Mika began leading classes and seminars at the church. Her presentations focused on topics like family values, personal faith, and overcoming challenges. One subject, particularly close to her heart, was addressing domestic struggles. She spoke publicly about this issue, drawing attention not only from church members, but also from a wider audience on social media. Mika frequently shared content on her platforms, emphasizing the importance of respectful relationships and the need for support systems for those experiencing hardship. Mika's efforts gradually began to rebuild John Paul's reputation. While many in the congregation still harbored criticism toward him for his past behavior, Mika's proactive involvement in church and community activities helped shape the image of a stronger, more forward-thinking ministry. Her work became a cornerstone for Solid Rock, fostering youth engagement and promoting both spiritual and social growth. Despite Mika's dedication to maintaining both her marriage and her work alongside John Paul, tension within their relationship began to escalate. Over time, it became evident that their union, initially rooted in mutual understanding, was facing significant challenges. The core issues included increasing control from John Paul and his interference in both Mika's personal and professional life. One of the first signs of trouble was frequent disagreements over finances. John Paul assumed complete control of the family's bank accounts, restricting Mika's access to funds. While he justified this as a means of safeguarding their finances, it became a source of stress for Mika. She felt stripped of independence, especially given her active role in church and mission projects. Additionally, Mika began to notice her connections with friends and family becoming increasingly limited. John Paul criticized her for spending too much time with her family and accused her of being overly involved in matters he believed detracted from their marriage. He also began monitoring her phone calls and messages, leaving Mika with a constant sense of being under surveillance. These controlling behaviors added to the strain in their relationship, creating an environment where Mika felt increasingly isolated and constrained. psychological manipulation within Mika and John Paul's marriage escalated to include threats. Mika confided in her sister, Sierra, and close friends that John Paul used her past mistakes and vulnerabilities as leverage. One of the most distressing instances involved personal photographs that he allegedly threatened to expose if she attempted to leave the marriage. These tactics deepened her fear and uncertainty about ending their relationship. Amid these challenges, Mika began taking steps to break free from John Paul's control. She reached out to Sierra for support and shared her intention to file for divorce. Together, they visited an attorney who started preparing the necessary documents. However, when John Paul became aware of her plans, the situation worsened. He confronted her, refusing to discuss divorce terms, and insisted that their marriage must remain intact to protect the church's reputation. Unable to find common ground, Mika temporarily moved in with her family to escape the pressure. This time away gave her a brief reprieve, allowing her to reflect on the severity of her situation. However, John Paul convinced her to return, promising to change his behavior. Despite his assurances, the problems persisted. One of the most alarming incidents occurred with Mika's car. She contacted the police after discovering that all 4 of her tires had been slashed and a GPS tracker had been placed underneath the vehicle. Mika strongly suspected John Paul's involvement. Although there was no concrete evidence linking him to the act, his sudden appearance at the repair shop heightened her suspicions. The pressure from John Paul intensified. He pushed for Mika to be hospitalized, claiming her behavior had become erratic. Based on his assertions, doctors diagnosed her with a psychological disorder and recommended treatment. Mika, however, maintained that her recent actions were driven by a desire to reclaim her independence, not by instability. After her discharge, she filed a police report, alleging that John Paul had used her hospitalization as a means to undermine her autonomy. Mika's efforts to end the marriage faced significant obstacles. Despite support from her family and legal counsel, the divorce process was drawn out. John Paul continued to exert control over her life, leaving her in an increasingly vulnerable position. April 27, 2024, marked a turning point in this story. On that day, Mika left her home without informing her family or friends of her plans. The events that followed, pieced together from surveillance footage, phone records, and discovered evidence, revealed a sequence of actions leading to her untimely death. Surveillance footage confirmed that Mika visited a gun store earlier that morning. Store employees later described her as calm and composed during the visit. While completing her purchase, she engaged in casual conversation with the clerk. She left the store carrying a small case containing a legally purchased handgun. The receipt and payment records confirmed that she had made the purchase herself. After leaving the gun store, Mika drove toward Lambert National Park. Surveillance cameras captured her car along the highway leading to the park. Data from her mobile phone revealed several search queries for secluded locations and park areas, indicating that she had carefully planned her destination. Upon arriving at the park, Mika parked her car and walked toward the river. After some time, she made a call to emergency services. During the call, she stated her intention to end her life and requested that her location be shared with her family. The recorded call, later released to law enforcement, captured the somber tone in her voice, though it lacked any signs of panic or distress. Less than an hour later, a passerby fishing nearby reported hearing the sound of a gunshot. Responding officers discovered Mika's body along the riverbank. Nearby, they found her belongings, including a backpack containing identification, a phone, a wallet, and a small Bible. The handgun used in the incident was recovered in the water close to the scene. The investigation concluded that the firearm showed no evidence of other fingerprints. Based on the collected evidence, authorities determined that the gunshot was self-inflicted. It was also confirmed that Mika had arrived at the location alone, and no other individuals were captured on surveillance footage trailing her. The official police report listed the cause of death as self-inflicted harm. However, this conclusion raised concerns among Mika's family, who argued that she had not exhibited any signs of depression and had maintained an active lifestyle. They pointed to her recent efforts to finalize her divorce as evidence of her determination to start anew. Despite the official findings, Mika's tragic death stirred widespread attention and gave rise to numerous theories about what might have led to the event. With so many unanswered questions, the story resonated deeply, leaving an emotional impact on both her loved ones and the public. The central argument raised by Mika's family was based on information she had shared with her sister, Sierra. Shortly before her tragic passing, Mika confided in Sierra about the pressure and manipulation she faced from her husband, John Paul. According to Sierra, Mika had even warned her that if anything happened to her, John Paul would be responsible. These claims were further supported by entries in Mika's journal, discovered in her apartment after her death. The journal contained detailed accounts of her troubled relationship with John Paul. She wrote about emotional and psychological mistreatment, constant control, and threats. Mika described how John Paul frequently used her past mistakes against her and threatened to expose personal information if she attempted to leave him. In addition, both her family and the community began to scrutinize revelations about John Paul's conduct, including potential inappropriate relationships with other women in the church and allegations of financial misconduct. Some members of the congregation claimed that the pastor may have misappropriated funds meant for missions, using them for personal purposes. These accusations fueled a wave of rumors and conspiracy theories. On social media and in the press, speculation about John Paul's potential motives became a heated topic of discussion. His history of questionable behavior, such as allegedly placing a GPS tracker on Mika's car and threatening to release private photos of her, intensified public criticism. Some online users accused him of indirectly contributing to the tragedy, while others put forth more extreme theories suggesting a staged crime. Despite the lack of direct evidence, the accusations against John Paul drew the attention of both law enforcement and the public. He became a focal point of widespread condemnation, even as authorities found no grounds to open a formal case against him. Mika's family's persistence and the details that emerged from her life kept the story alive, creating an atmosphere of tension and mistrust. After Mika's tragic death, the police immediately launched an investigation to uncover the circumstances surrounding the incident. However, it quickly became clear that local law enforcement would struggle to handle the case alone. Due to the widespread public attention, pressure from Mika's family, and numerous allegations against John Paul, the FBI stepped in to assist. Their involvement was driven by the complexity of the case and the need for an impartial examination of all aspects. A key focus of the investigation was the firearm found near Mika's body. Investigators confirmed that the handgun was purchased by Mika herself on the day of her death, supported by surveillance footage and financial transaction records. No evidence suggested that anyone else was involved in the purchase. Similarly, footage from the Lambert Park parking lot showed no suspicious vehicles or individuals who might have been following or accompanying her. Despite confirming that Mika had acted alone, the investigation expanded due to public accusations against John Paul. The FBI began a thorough review of his past, including his financial activities and interactions with church members. Evidence surfaced suggesting possible financial improprieties. While no formal charges were filed, these findings heightened suspicions surrounding John Paul and prompted further inquiries. One of the most discussed aspects of the case was John Paul's potential role in contributing to Mika's deteriorating emotional state. Her family provided investigators with her journal, which detailed instances of manipulation, threats, and psychological pressure allegedly exerted by her husband. While these entries did not lead to criminal charges, they raised serious questions about whether John Paul's actions might have played a part in the tragic outcome. The investigation also explored allegations of John Paul's inappropriate relationships with other women in the church community and his overall reputation. Several witnesses came forward with claims of questionable behavior by the pastor that may have negatively impacted those around him. However, none of these accusations were substantiated with sufficient evidence to hold him accountable. As of now, John Paul remains formally uncharged, though his standing within the church community has been severely damaged. He has been removed from his pastoral role, but reportedly continues to receive payments from the church's budget. This decision has sparked mixed reactions among the congregation. Some have called for a complete severance of ties with him, while others argue that the allegations remain unproven. This tragic story has also left a lasting mark on Solid Rock Church itself. The controversy surrounding Micah's case has eroded trust in the church's leadership, led to a significant decline in attendance, and cast doubt on the effectiveness of its internal structures. Many former active members have publicly expressed their disappointment and ceased participation in church activities. By the conclusion of the investigation, many questions remained unanswered. The primary focus centered on the extent of John Paul's influence on his wife's emotional state and his potential responsibility in the events leading to her death. While law enforcement has not found sufficient grounds to press charges, the public continues to follow the case closely, debating new theories and emerging details. This story remains a deeply painful chapter for everyone involved, serving as a poignant reminder of how devastating hidden conflicts and unresolved injustices can be. Thanks for watching, everyone. Your support means a lot to me, and you can help my channel grow by hitting that like button, dropping a comment, and sharing this video. Your engagement really makes a difference. See you soon.